Hi everyone, and it's another GraphCMS Talks. Today it's a bit more specific. We're going to be talking all about headless commerce, a little bit in context with Jamstack, and with me is Filippo, the founder himself of Commerce Layer. This is going to be a really interesting conversation and topic for me. So, Filippo, why don't we start with you? Give us a little bit of an introduction on you and Commerce Layer.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
I'm Filippo Conforti, founder and CEO of Commerce Layer, which is a headless commerce platform for modern web development. I'm a big supporter of the Jamstack, as I think it's the right way to build the websites and e-commerce today. So we sponsored the Jamstack conferences from the very first one in 2018.
Right.
And we are keeping sponsoring the conference because we really believe in that movement.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, headless commerce, Jamstack, headless in general, it's a huge conversation. It's not just a trend anymore. It's starting to become really mainstream. So just kick us off. Why don't you get us started with what really is headless commerce in the scope of a Jamstack stack.
Sure. So sure. Headless commerce is an architectural approach that decouples the presentation layer from the backend layer. So essentially, it's compared to the monolithic approach when you have everything in one monolithic application. So if you think of the history of web development and e-commerce as well, some years ago, building an e-commerce website was all about building a desktop e-commerce, and so you needed an e-commerce CMS, and that's all you need.
Right.
Now there are so many devices, the mobile and wearables, and the requirements have changed a lot. And the headless commerce gives you the flexibility that you need because having the front end decoupled from the back end, essentially you can design any customer experience. You're not limited by any templating system. You can really innovate, and also you can attach e-commerce to websites and to IoT devices, to wearables, whatever. And also, let me say that it's very interesting because it gives content the right importance. It gives content back because they say that content is king, and I really believe in that because also in e-commerce you should tell a story. You shouldn't just publish a catalog, and so you should have really a good content management system, and you should start from that. And also in terms of the time to market, typically, many times, many brands already have a website, a marketing website, and adding e-commerce to their website with a headless approach is something that you can do, by adding something, by adding functionality. You don't rewrite everything from scratch. So also in terms of time to market, it's a huge benefit, I would say.
Right. And is this why you think there is such a rise in, let's say, popularity for the Jamstack and headless commerce? Is it just because everything is API led and sort of reducing the time to market, or do you think there's some more factors at play here?
Well, I think there are more factors. So let's start from developers, and then maybe we can talk about the business benefits.
Sure.
So from a developer's perspective, and talking about the Jamstack specifically, I think that the Jamstack is the way to get the most out of the headless approach. If you think of the benefits of Jamstack, like performance, scalability, security, developer experience, they are all great. But if you think of e-commerce, they really, they are really very important. Having a fast website or blog, having a secure blog is great, but having a fast and secure e-commerce website is, it's much, it's more important, I would say.
Right. But why do you think it is that, even e-commerce needs to go in this sort of I wouldn't say decoupled, but microservice approach, because like you said, you've got the e-commerce CMS era where, if I have a website on a CMS, I can just have a couple of e-commerce plugins, and now all of a sudden I can sell products, I can accept payments, I can manage multiple currencies. So where does the headless approach really make a difference?
Yeah, again, I think that the benefits that I have mentioned, like the flexibility
Hmm.
and the omni-channel support, the native omni-channel support, are all very important. Let me add one another aspect, which is the the future. You want to be
Right.
future friendly, because we don't know. I mean, we are talking about websites now. We don't know if voice commerce will be the next thing, the next big thing, or the next big sales channel, or maybe wearable, or maybe refrigerator or
Right.
car. It's really something that has to, it will happen.
Hmm.
Something is already happening. But if you embrace the headless approach today, you know that you will be future proof. You will build a stack which is future proof and future friendly. This is very important.
Right. And I love the point you made about this future proofness, because I think this is a sort of overlap we have between you and headless commerce, and as well as for us in headless CMS. Like the focus really has been on the API and the performance, and like the focus has been very strong on the developer experience, but the concepts of headless, not only CMS but commerce as well, they are becoming very mainstream. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of new vendors in this space. So how do you feel is the sort of way to go in justifying the importance to the commercial stakeholders, like everyone on the content and marketing side, or even people who are making decisions on the tech stack of their companies? How do you really justify the commercial value of this approach?
Yeah, so first, let me clarify my thought about when I talk about headless commerce. I include also headless content. I mean, headless commerce is also a stack.
Yeah.
It's a stack that is made by many systems,
Mhm.
many specialized systems, which is a different approach compared to the monolith again. And to your question, again, if you think of so first the possibility to a marketing department to create any, to innovate and to create any campaign and to create any marketing activity without the issues that you typically have with monolithic
Mhm.
approach. So with your IT department, which is, it's ready to support your marketing and
Mhm.
business initiatives. This is very important. And talking about performance, again, when you talk about performance applied to commerce, speed and scalability translates literally to more revenues,
True.
because again, it's also SEO. It's very important. I mean, there are so many aspects that bring more that bring value to the business people,
Mhm.
because and to as well as developers. I mean, this is not just a developer affair, because e-commerce itself is not just a developer affair, and business people have to know that their e-commerce and their website has to be fast in order to perform better and to get and to make more revenues,
Right.
and also the developers should keep in mind the business goal. This is true for any company and any industry, but e-commerce is very specific in that perspective.
Right, that's true. I mean, you can't really risk, especially in a high volume e-commerce company, you can't really risk issues from any sort of performance or scalability. But
Right.
I love that you brought up the topic of, moving away from the monolith, because I think even before this, we've had conversations into this entire sort of digital experience and customer experience space, and how companies are making the move from monoliths to microservices. But I think what I have seen, at least, and I think to a huge extent you as well, is that the adoption of this is really heavy in the mid scale, or even on the startup level and the scale up level. But why do you think that larger scale companies on the enterprise level should be paying more attention to the whole microservices approach?
Yeah, so first, let me say that flexibility is a great thing, but I mean, if you need it, because
Okay.
if you are a small brand, maybe you just, you better choose a monolithic platform and just start selling online and validate your business,
Right.
because the that flexibility is really brings you value if you need it, and you typically need it if you are a mid to large brand. And talking about the performance, honestly, if you have like 100 visitors per day, if your website responds in 1 second or in 2 seconds, I mean, it has to be fast. But if it responds in 2 seconds instead of 1, I mean, your business probably won't be affected that much. But if you have like 10,000 orders per day, and if you are selling globally, if you have customers everywhere, and if you also sell in markets where maybe the connection is not that strong, it's really when you go global, it's really important to support all your customers and all your regions. And again, if your traffic, if your volume is higher, you get the best value from the Jamstack. If you save 100 milliseconds, you really see it's incredible. You really see the revenues that go up. But again, if you have a volume, because otherwise it becomes something that developers care more than business typically.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this at the end.
Yeah.
It's always jumping around. Well, I think you've made some very valid points here, and again, it's so similar to how we approach the entire headless angle for content management as well, because it just comes down to scalability and performance first, and then all the use cases and ROI sort of fall after, because it's so pragmatic in the way you can approach this with the Jamstack. So I think just, lastly, to wrap things up, I'd love your opinion as well on everything that's happening in headless, not just commerce and content, but Jamstack in general. How are you seeing this growing? Do you think that we're going to see an enterprise level Jamstack era soon, or do you think it's going to take much longer?
I think this is what's happening right now. I mean, the adoption has started from developers and from innovators and startups that like to try new things. Now the Jamstack is not a new thing. I mean, Netlify celebrated the 1 million developers.
Yeah.
And if you think, I think the growth was incredible, was exponential, and I talked to them a lot, and they have the feeling of how fast it is growing. And now it's the focus on enterprise and large companies, because they are understanding the value of this approach. And again, for what I was saying before, if they have volumes, they get the larger the brand, the higher the value that you get from Jamstack.
Love it. I mean, I'm in complete agreement with you there. Well, Filippo, again, honestly, thanks a lot for this conversation. I know that we're both very sort of passionate about the headless approach, so this conversation was really fun for me. And I'm going to go ahead and share both our socials on the screen now. I would really recommend anyone to check out Commerce Layer. They've just had a beautiful new website done, at least at the time of recording. It's still fresh.
Thank you.
And I love everything you guys are doing there. And yeah, it's been a great conversation. Thanks so much for joining.
Likewise, thank you so much, and speak soon.
Speak soon. Bye, Filippo.
Bye.